January 23rd, Dover Board of Selectmen meeting. And following guidance issued by the Commonwealth in March of 2023 regarding open meeting law, this meeting is being held remotely, and individuals who wish to participate may do so utilizing the Zoom conference technology. To join the meeting, I hope people know this by now. There is a link on our agenda, which can be found on our website. We are conducting our meeting today using the Zoom webinar technology. That means if you have a comment during our citizens' comment, you need to use the little emoji at the bottom of the screen to raise your hand, and we will then permit you to submit your question. So the first item on the agenda today is citizens' comments.
Just a quick reminder to anybody who would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. Give it another moment here, but I'm not seeing any at the moment. Not seeing any.
No, me neither. And I even remembered to open the participant screen.
Did you click on attendees?
Yeah, so that I can see who the attendees are. So this evening, we are honored to have our new state representative here, Josh Tarski. First of all, congratulations, Josh. I hope things are going well for you. And we were thrilled that you reached out. And, we wanted to have you just talk a little bit. First of all, welcome to Dover, and let Dover citizens know about how you're acclimating. Denise had a big presence here, and we're really hoping that you will follow suit. And as you kind of learned your role a little bit, she had some office hours here sometimes, or did town meetings, and those were really well received. So we are hoping that if there's anything we can do to help you, we are here. So thank you, and I'll turn it over to you.
That's awesome. So thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I saw a lot of folks on the campaign trail, and it's nice to be, a welcomed invite to this group. So I swore in January 1st and put in committee assignments last Thursday. I spoke with Michael last week and came to town hall. Met with the clerk. We're organizing office hours, and, the bill filing season officially passed. We passed a bunch of, we filed a bunch of bills, namely some continuation bills from Denise Garlick, the prior rep, some in conjunction with Senator Becca Rausch, and a couple that I felt confident filing, mainly under education, in that realm. So it's been busy. The basement that everyone was so afraid of during the campaign season, it's real, but it's not actually a punishment. It's where everyone starts in the beginning of their career. It's me and 19 other folks who are all freshman reps, and we sit together and basically get a really bond and talk about all sorts of things, and have folks that can answer questions and explore. And we're getting to know each other. And although it's at times feels like it's drinking through a fire hose, it's important, good work. And I've met a lot of good people and really getting brushed up on a lot of the issues. And I'm excited to represent Dover and all the towns that I will represent. So pretty good stuff.
Is it a steep learning curve? Is it really different? Can you leverage some of your experiences in education, or is it just completely?
It's there's a lot of issues across the state. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things.
Right.
So, I've been having a lot of meetings. The first thing I've wanted to do is really get into all three of the towns and, embed myself in local government and see what they do, how they do it, make sure I know all the players. during the campaign season, I got to know the select board members and leaders in the community. I want to drill down a little deeper into the issues and the personalities that are driving our towns. So, it's a lot of nights, but it's really cool. And then statewide, there's just a lot of important things and a lot of important people trying to do a lot of things in different ways and to become informed. It's a lot of listening and meeting with all sorts of folks from all over the state. And if I do that and understand the issues well and understand the local priorities, I can hopefully merge the two and bring state funding down to us to support initiatives that we believe will positively impact our communities.
So we will be happy to tell you about everything that, impacts us and how you might be able to help. And definitely once you have your office hours, I would be happy to come and spend some time with you as well. But, let the citizens of Dover, they're not bashful, let you know what all they do. Well, maybe it's just us who aren't doing things right. You may have, compliments come your way, but it's good to hear, in all honesty, it's good to hear what concerns them and try and help in any way that we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we'll probably start office hours either beginning of February to mid-February, depending on some coordinations we have to make. And we'll post that. We're just getting organized on social media with our new website and a lot to do. But it'll get organized. We'll post that, and I would love to hear from as many Dover citizens as reach out.
Well, I have office hours on Monday. So far, only one person wants to talk with me. It's very disappointing. Right? I asked some of my friends if maybe they would just come and hang out with me so that I look like I'm popular.
It's not a competition, Robin. It's not a competition.
I didn't even get a taker there.
I will come and visit you, okay? And give you some company, all right?
Thanks. Dave,
a belated congratulations and welcome.
Thanks, Dave.
I too am the freshman selectman, so
awesome.
I have empathy. But let us know how we can help you, and we certainly look forward to working with you in getting some good things done.
Right. Definitely. And the door here is always open. You can reach us individually or through Michael, but we look forward to working together.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
So thank you, Josh, and appreciate you taking the time. I'm sure you have another meeting to go to.
So. Yeah, right.
I'm going to hang out for a while if that's okay. I don't know if I need to be a panelist, but I'd love to just listen in if that's all right.
No, we welcome it. Please. Nobody else wants to, so.
Wonderful. Thanks again, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Great. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, so now we're going to move to item 1.2 on our agenda, and it's part of our regular program, I guess, where we're asking different boards and committees to come in and just give us an update on what they're working on. And this evening we have the Historical Society update, and they're going to update us on activities and events. So I'm looking forward to it. And I believe I see both Judy Schultz and Lena both, so we can let them in.
I'm here.
Great. How are you, Judy?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Well, thanks.
Excellent. Has Lena joined us? Is she?
She is. I see her, but I don't see her. She's on mute still.
So I can text her.
There we go.
There she is. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you. We don't see you though.
I can't come up as an image.
Maybe just as well.
Who said that?
That was Stuart, her husband.
That's
Um,
my husband Stuart in the background. We both have COVID, so
Oh, no.
Oh,
well, I'm not testing, but positive, but he is.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Can anyone tell me something I should do to bring myself in?
If you
at the
go to
bottom, the
Yeah.
Start
video.
my video. Okay, good.
There you go.
Ah, there I am.
From the husband. See.
Good evening to you all. This is a great pleasure for Judy and I to be with you this evening and to tell you about the upcoming exhibit on Amelia Peabody, which the Dover Historical Society is putting together at great speed and is due to open in April of this year. I'm Lena Swinney of Dedham Street, where I grew up next to Amelia Peabody on Mill Farm, and I knew her. I was fortunate enough to spend time looking in her studio, and even she was kind enough to invite my father and I for dinner as next door neighbors. I'm representing the executive committee of the Dover Historical Society, along with Ellie Hurd of Haven Terrace and Kevin Shale of Main Street. And I'm working very closely with my colleague, Judy Schultz, who will introduce herself.
Yes,
well,
I'm Judy
neither
Schultz.
of you are strangers to us. You know, we
No.
appreciate
Well,
all the work
I don't
you've
think
done.
Chris Costello knows us, and well, Dave Haviland has been to the Solwyn and the Carroll Farm along with Mike Blanchard, and it's a pleasure always to see them.
Right. I still appreciate you introducing yourself. I just wanted to say to Dave and I, you're not strangers. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Robin.
We want to screen share. I have a PowerPoint, so can
Right.
that be
And
permitted,
Judy, do you want
please?
to just introduce yourself?
Oh, Judy Schultz, grew up here in town and have served on the library board for the past 12 years, involved in the schools, raised my kids here. This Amelia Peabody project is a labor of love because no one in town really knows of her, and she is an extraordinary person that has her fingerprints not only all over Dover, but all over the state of Massachusetts. So how do I share screens? Please give me some instruction here.
Chris can give you the power.
So you should have, if you go to the bottom of the screen, you should see a green share button with an arrow
Yep.
pointing up. If you
Yep.
click that, and then you should see a bunch of windows, just click the PowerPoint that you want to share.
Yeah. And now I got, I'm looking for the little
There
thing to
you
turn
go.
it.
Okay.
This
I want to turn, there we go.
This is part of the solicitation that we recently sent out. On the left, it celebrates our new website, doverhistoricalsociety.org, as you see on the left, where new items that we have within the collection are being added day by day. It is a work in progress, and I encourage you all, please, to have a look at it. And on the right, you see that the Solwyn Triangle, the 1.2 acre plot of land where the Solwyn Museum sits, has now been declared a wildlife habitat. And you can read there that we are identifying the 50 plus indigenous trees, shrubs, and wildflowers, as well as some invasives that reside there. I'm sure that Amelia Peabody would be extremely pleased that we have shown our interest in nature right in the center of the town of Dover. Next, Judy. So who was Amelia Peabody? This is what we want to tell the town and people far and wide about Amelia Peabody, who resided on Dedham Street. And this photo was taken in 1962 in her studio on Dedham Street. And I'm pleased to say that all the sculptures that you see in this image will be on display in the Solwyn Museum. Next, Judy. So here is the Sorwin Memorial Building, or the Sorwin Museum on the knoll, right in the center of town. And this is where most of her sculptures will be exhibited, along with panels telling about her life and her history. And over on the right-hand side of the building, well, move forward. This shows you the main room in the museum. This is a World War I exhibit that was in 2017. And this is where the main body of her sculpture will be displayed. It will be transformed into Amelia Peabody exhibit. Next, Judy. The rest of the objects relating to her animal husbandry, farming, explorations in building materials, etc., will be in the Fisher Barn at the Carroll Farm, in close proximity to Mill Farm just down the road. This is an exterior shot and the interior. Here you see the interior of the barn with a Dover High School group some years ago singing Christmas carols. But I'd like you to look at the loft above where you see a plow. We have acquired from the Vinios family on Farm Street not only many of Amelia Peabody's sculptures, which you'll see in a moment, but also reels and reels of 8 and 16 millimeter film footage that Miss Peabody took herself starting in the 1920s. And we plan to have a large screen up there on that loft platform where we will be showing continuous images from these films that are being digitized now and be ready this week. Next. So here you see some of the Amelia Peabody sculptures that were recently acquired from the Vinios family, given to the society as gifts. And we now have the largest collection of Amelia Peabody sculptures that exist. There you see Nicole Fiore, who, thanks to a generous grant from the Amelia Peabody Charitable Foundation, has been hired as secretary for the exhibition. And here she is registering the objects as we are receiving them. You can see this portraiture on the table. The wrapped up packages are molds that Miss Peabody used for making her sculptures. And you see a variety of different objects, a portrait of her father in the far left of the fireplace. There are animals. Next image, please, Judy. Here you see some close-ups of the works. The ceramic one that you see lying on the table was in the image you saw of Miss Peabody in her studio. And there are a lot of portraitures or busts of various people that she knew and others that she fantasized on. Next. And there are garden sculptures, animal sculptures. You see them here on the floor of the museum. They've just been delivered and we're in the process of unpacking them. This was a month or so ago. Next, please. Now Judy's going to take over here because this is the creme de la creme of what we received. And Judy will explain to you the significance of the so-called bicycle boy.
This is the piece that Amelia Peabody exhibited in the 1939 World's Fair in New York, and it was featured right in the front window of the American Pavilion, which is quite an extraordinary place to be shown. The 1939 World's Fair is a heavily collected subject matter because it is the height of Art Deco in America. So if you think of Rockefeller Center and the manship sculpture there was this extraordinary interest in Art Deco in the 1930s and the 1930s, 39 New York World's Fair, which its tagline was the future of the world, introduced things like air conditioning and color film and television. So it was looking to the future and to modern industry. Here it is in the front window of the American Pavilion.
And
This
just one
is-
comment, Judy. You should
Sure.
say that yes, that to just today, Bicycle Boy has gone off to be conserved because in its original state it was white plaster. At some point, Miss Peabody painted it gray, a dingy, sad gray, which is now going to be completely removed. So Bicycle Boy will be on exhibit in the Stowin in its pristine original condition. Sorry,
It really is.
No,
no problem. It really is. It really is. If you were to look at the body of her work, it is her masterpiece. It is the piece that really put her on the map as a professional sculptor. Because it really was the biggest show of its kind in 1939. This is a self-portrait that was a recent gift from the Amelia Peabody Foundation, which is in Topsfield, Massachusetts. It's different than the Amelia Peabody Charitable Fund, which is giving us a wonderful grant to help put on this exhibition. This is a self-portrait of Amelia going to the hunt, and it's in bronze. This is another one of the wonderful gifts that we got. This is a raccoon fountain. And we think of things like casting it and having it, because right now these are the plasters. So these are the original models that she would then use to have cast in stone or in bronze. This is plumbed to work as a fountain. And we're thinking, wouldn't that be wonderful for someplace in town, perhaps at
or
Carroll
outside
House,
or at the Carroll farm
or,
in the chicken coop.
Yeah.
I think it would be very appropriate to put it there.
This is a bunny bench that she designed as a piece for a child's playground or a garden. And I'm having my wheels in my head spin and think, wouldn't that be extraordinary to be cast for Chickering School or for the Carroll Community Center to include some of her artwork in our new building?
We felt very strongly that the Bicycle Boy, once the exhibit is finished, should go into the new community center when it's open so that it can be shared by all the residents of Dover and not be closed up most of the time in the Selwyn Museum.
And that very much was what Amelia Peabody wanted in giving. There are now 7 pieces at the Dover Library, but the horse outside the children's room, and then if you walk in the front door, there are 2 extraordinary equestrian large sculptures that she also gave to the library, and another bronze, which was exhibited in New York. It's another significant piece that she made during her life. So she, and when I was in junior high, she gave pieces to the junior high, but those went missing when the middle school was built. So we have no idea where those pieces went, but she very much was generous in giving pieces to institutions in Dover for them to be enjoyed, as she gave Noannette Woods for the citizens of Dover to be enjoyed. She was a tremendous equestrian. How she learned about Dover was coming with Norfolk Hunt Club to Dover. So that was her first experience. Then she purchased Mill Farm, and then in 1930, she purchased Powysset. At Powysset, she provided housing for her employees. And so back in the 40s, she was concerned about the sustainability and affordability of housing. So she built the first solar house in America in 1948. She also built a plywood house and a masonite house. She had a prefab Hodgson house. She had deck houses. So throughout her career, she was concerned about the sustainability and affordability of housing. So really was ahead of her time in looking to these issues that we still confront today. The ride down Powysset Street went from this sleepy everybody in town going to the dump, where people from around the world came to see this solar house because it was quite a phenomenon. She did buy Powysset Farm because it was going to be turned into a private flight club. So there's all these stories about Dover and airports. And in fact, this is one of the airports that was supposed to be built at Powysset. And she bought it where she raised her prize Hereford cattle, Yorkshire pigs. And then at Mill Farm, she had thoroughbred racehorses. This is a view from the top of Noannet Peak, which is one of her most remarkable gifts to the town of Dover. At one point, she was Dover's largest landowner, owning a third of the town. And at her death, the what we called Miss Peabody's Woods was given to the trustees to forever be conservation land and not to be built. That was something that she personally understood. She struggled with mental health, and she writes in her diaries that walking in nature and being out with animals were the things that made her confident and gave her power, as was the work that she did with art. She, during World War II, worked with returning soldiers. Actually, starting in World War I, returning soldiers doing arts therapy, which was this revolutionary idea. In World War II, she started, the Red Cross made her the head of the Arts and Skills Department, which she was in charge of arts therapy at the 4 VA hospitals. And through her connections to hospitals, this idea of art as therapy was spread to Children's Hospital, McLean Hospital, Mass General, and certainly is considered standard in care today that art is a way to heal those who have been injured or who are struggling. This is an example of a medal that she did. She did a lot of work with hospitals supporting their missions and endeavors. The top floor of the Deaconess Hospital, she gave the ICU. This is for diabetes patients who were guinea pigs for Dr. Jocelyn, so hence the Explorers of Uncharted Seas. This is called the life expectancy model, and she went on to make a model, a medal to celebrate living 25 years with diabetes and 50 years diabetes. So she was very, very important in supporting this type of research in Boston. Oops. And that's sort of the end of it.
Yeah, that medal is within the collection of the Dover Historical Society and will be on display along with many others. We have contributions from various organizations, from the Amelia Peabody Charitable Fund, the Boston Athenaeum, the Marblehead Historical Society, private individuals in Dover and beyond, or ex-residents of Dover. And we are already working with other Dover organizations. Judy already mentioned the library that's letting us borrow 2 objects to move across the street and up the hill into the Solwyn. The Dover Church is also given a major sculpture of hers that they have on loan, called Flight to Egypt, which is a powerful and strong piece that we will have. And the Cemetery Commission we wish to meet with, because Ms. Peabody has designed various grave monuments within Highland Cemetery. So we're asking for your support and interest during this endeavor of ours. We feel this is an extremely worthwhile project for the town of Dover, for its residents, old time like myself, who there are still a few of us around who knew Miss Peabody. Even in the case of Ellie Hurd, her father worked for Miss Peabody. So we feel that this is a common interest and a way to bring Dover people together, and in particular for the new residents who, as it stated in the beginning, who was Amelia Peabody? Many of the residents of Dover have absolutely no idea what an extraordinary woman she was and what a significant role she played for the town of Dover. So we thank you for listening to our story and hope that you will all come and see our progress as we pull the exhibits together. Judy will be giving the annual general meeting lecture on Amelia Peabody on the 26th of March, followed by the opening in the beginning of April at both the Solwyn and the Carroll Farm properties. We're looking for docents, people who will help to shed the word. We can't open the two facilities without having somebody on hand. But we, again, hope that you may be able to speak with people as you go out and about, which you do all too frequently, to help us in this endeavor to make it a really worthwhile and memorable thing, not only for the Dover residents, but we're going to advertise all over Boston because of her Boston connections and hope to have a large audience. So thank you from me and from Judy.
I would like to thank both of you. I am speechless, which is rare for me. I thought I knew a lot about Amelia Peabody, and today I learned a whole lot more. What an absolutely remarkable woman. And I, for one, will definitely come to your exhibit. And I think what you're doing is so important to Dover and the history of Dover. You're absolutely right. I've lived here for 25 years, thought I knew everything, and I clearly don't. I mean, what a talent. And so forward thinking, and I am just in awe. So thank you for your presentation this evening. If there's anything we can do in the town to help promote the exhibit,
Thank you. Yes.
please reach out. I would suggest, if you haven't already, maybe we could spotlight it in our digital newsletter in the month of March. But all I can say is, wow, what a woman.
Indeed.
And I just scratched the surface. I mean, the whole East Wing of the Museum of Science is named for her. I mean, it's her fingerprints are literally everywhere, and she's probably the most important philanthropist that Massachusetts has ever seen.
Yes.
Right. And her connection to Dover. I mean, we are just so fortunate.
Yes.
Dave, did you know all of this?
All of it, no. But Mike and I cheated because we were at the museum not too long ago, so we got a little a precursor of it. Speaking of which, I owe you an exhibit, which I did find. So
Yes, you did.
I have got to get over there with it when you're open, and that's
Thank you. Well, give a call because we are closed now until March, which is the normal thing that we do annually till the end of March. But as you can see, there's a lot going on in the Solwyn Museum. But contact any of us, or my husband Stuart, you have his emails because he's the curator, and we will open it up and welcome you and what you're bringing us.
so. Well, I'm pleased. Thank you. I'm going to echo what Robin said. Thank you for doing this because it is a piece of history that needs to be brought to light. And I remember I used to come to Dover as a young boy growing up in Connecticut, but my great aunt and uncle lived in Springdale across from the pond. And I know that my aunt Liz was friends with Amelia Peabody. So this is great. It's kind of tying a big knot personally. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for coming and telling everyone about it. Robin, great idea about having Chris put it in the newsletter. Let's get as many people in the know as we can.
Yes.
I actually have sent a press release already to Chris for hopefully the February edition.
Excellent.
And Judy's going to be giving a lecture also to the COA to make them more aware of this, and also to try and encourage them to come and be docents, because they would do a wonderful job and it would involve them out and about in the community more as well.
As a suggestion, I would also reach out to, I don't know if their name is still the Dover Mothers Association, but they're also extremely active.
Oh, Judy, you have contacts with them, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Will you offer
One of the
training to the docents?
Beg pardon?
Will you offer training for the
Oh,
docents?
yes, of course, yeah. But if you know, you don't need to have that much training in the sense that the exhibit will be self-explanatory, or we're certainly going to try our hardest, and there will be a sort of plot plan to show you where the exhibits are within the building. It's more a person, a set of eyes, and a Dover person to be there. It doesn't have to be necessarily a Dover person either, but somebody who's interested in Amelia Peabody and what we are trying to do and history in general.
You want to open several days.
We want to open several days a week. Trying to maybe do a Wednesday and on the weekends as well, and even into the evening, because many people are working and don't have the luxury of being retired like myself, that they need to be able to, well, we want them to come and visit and have the opportunity to do so.
But we need help.
But we need help. We definitely need help. I'm getting a little coaching here in the background from the curator.
Curator, I'm very aware. Someone has to be
Well,
there.
we will help you we will assist you in trying to get help as well. But it's a wonderful cause, and I will certainly visit. And depending on the time commitment, I may even be able to help somewhat. So I will reach out.
Wonderful. We appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you both.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Put a smile on our face this evening. Now to the mundane business on the discussion and vote on the retrofit contract renewal.
Sure. So just give me one sec. We lost Chris, so I'm going to try to move.
Okay. There you go.
There we go. Great.
Okay.
Chris, he texted me. He had some computer trouble, so he'll be back when he can restart.
He may be doing the Zoom update.
He could be
Earlier
yes.
today.
Speaking of retrofit, what a wonderful segue.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I noticed 24/7 support.
That's right. That's right. So as I think the board is aware, and I know Dave is because he had some hands-on help recently. The town has contracted with Retrofit as an outsourced IT provider starting in 2019. They originally started just as our cybersecurity 24/7 monitoring of threats, and monitoring the network. And then I believe that was 2019, 2020, we then brought them on as our completely outsourced IT department. For the benefit of the public who might be watching, we do not have any internal IT staff. Retrofit provides it all. They do that in two different ways. They are available 24/7. We submit tickets, and they're very responsive to that and can often solve problems by just remoting in and solving issues. And then we also have 1 day a week where we have a Retrofit staff person here on site who does a lot of the help desk and installs new computers and updates and things that have to be on site. So it's a good relationship. Up until this point, and a part of the discussion for tonight, we've done an annual contract with Retrofit. The renewal is before you this evening. If you are looking on your electronic packet, I would highlight pages 21 and 25. Page 21 shows the proposed pricing for a 1-year contract option. And page 25 shows the proposed pricing for a 3-year contract. The savings over the two, going with a 3 versus 1 year, we save $529 a month. Times 12 is $6,348 per year by going with a 3-year. My recommendation I'm bringing tonight is to consider the 3-year. The benefits of a 1 year, obviously the flexibility, so that if we do decide to go a different route, or if we were decide to try to bring on IT staff in-house, we have more flexibility to do that. However, we are going into the 5th year of working with retrofit, and I don't in the immediate future see us bringing on or having the budgetary capacity to bring on IT staff. So the value of a 3-year contract may make sense to look at. One thing I do want to note is that I'll focus right now on the 3-year contract. We're happy to talk about the one as well. As presented, we're looking at a 7.2% increase over last year on the annual cost. Again, the benefit of the 3-year will hold that cost over the 3 years. However, one thing I'll note, and I did clarify this with retrofit, you may recall, and I think Josh is still on, his predecessor Denise was instrumental in us getting an earmark from the state to spend on cybersecurity and IT infrastructure upgrades. That is in process. Right now, we lease equipment, and part of that earmark, we're actually going to be purchasing the equipment. So our monthly bill, once that is installed and is expected sometime in the next 2 months, will drop by $722. So the monthly costs you see of the 3-year of just over $13,000 will drop to just under $12,500. And that's only a 1.4% increase over last year's contract. So it makes it certainly a much more palatable number. So happy to answer any questions the board might have, or any discussion you'd like to have.
So I noticed in the 3-year option, they have the right to increase the rate up to 5% annually. So it's
That's
not a fixed cost.
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
Right. But over the 5 years, this has worked very well for us. We put it in place as a temporary measure, and it worked out much better than expected. Prior to having retrofit, we had a full-time IT person who didn't necessarily have all of the skills that were needed for the support that was necessary for both the infrastructure and the help desk. And to your point, Mike, I think the what you were trying to convey was one person doesn't do it, because you need support all the time. And what we landed up doing is having a full-time person and retrofit. And we found that finding qualified people was very difficult. Getting people with the right skill sets was difficult. And the advantage of outsourcing IT is in the firm itself, they have people with all the different expertise that we need that you're basically getting for one fee. So, as long as we're confident that their service will continue, I would say, the probability of renewing the contract for 3 years is probably great. And, we potentially are locking into no more than a 5% increase, which seems to be tied to inflation as well. So I would then encourage us to go for the 3-year.
Well, also what needs to be mentioned is you certainly can't hire a person for $13,000, possibly going to $12,000 a year,
Right.
let alone for the 24/7 coverage, 365 that it's required, and has all these different skill sets. I mean, this is security all the way down to helping someone get the Google Drives to work. If you are happy with them, Mike, I would also be in favor of the 3-year deal.
Right.
Yeah, no, so part of my due diligence, before bringing this to you was to, check in with some staff get some direct feedback, and it is all very, very positive. The response times are very impressive. And just to mention, part of what we're paying for is something that we're required to have as part of our cybersecurity insurance.
Right.
This 24/7 threat monitoring. So it's a necessity in order to carry that insurance. So it is a real important piece.
Right. So, and that's the point I think Dave was trying to make is you can't, in this day and age, unless you're a very large corporation hiring 4 or 5 different IT people, you really need to outsource it because you just can't find the individuals that you need to provide the cybersecurity, the technical updates, the backups that are necessary. So having these firms is really, in my opinion, a best practice to give you the support. As I was looking through this contract and I saw that they are on site once a week, I was wondering if maybe once a month we could offer that to some of the, if people there are having some issues relating to town software or town applications, not their own personal applications, that maybe we could offer, their help with that as well. I'm just thinking they might be able to help me with the capital budgets Google Drive.
Yes, yes.
Cannot figure out why I can't load documents on it unless I'm online. So it's for a selfish reason.
No, but I think that's a great idea, and I appreciate that. As Dave mentioned, he took advantage of it. We had some members of the ZBA who just kind of on an ad hoc basis took advantage of it. So I think we could formalize it and open up to boards and committee members,
right?
Because we are encouraging people to use their town accounts, to use their town drives as opposed to their personal. So making sure people know how to do it and are comfortable, I think, is really important.
And he's in once a week and often doesn't have things to fully occupy his day.
Right.
So it'd be wonderful to offer this to all the town boards. What help do you need?
Absolutely.
Right. I think it will be really helpful because I, for many years, put everything in a Dropbox, which I have now uploaded onto the Google Drive because those aren't my documents. They belong to the town and we should have them as historic information. So.
Right. And we do get from time to time public records requests, and that's something, if it's on your town account, we can simply search on the back end for the applicable records versus individuals having to go through their personal email accounts. So I think we're all on the same page.
All right. So that being the case, I am going to move to approve the retrofit technology information support services proposal effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Yep, you got it.
Okay. All right.
Second.
All in favor, I, Robin Hunter.
I, Dave Haviland. And I would have said 28, so good for you.
Yeah, this was a test. So the next item of business is to review and approve the Board of Selectmen's annual report.
Yes.
Okay. So I have one comment, and this annual report always confuses me because I'm always trying to think about the time frame. So is this for 2024 or for the fiscal year?
Yeah, so it's for calendar year 2024. So it's I think it might be the one thing the town does on a calendar year basis, and that's why it is confusing.
Right. So that being the case, I was just wondering if under the hail section, we should update the narrative to include that they successfully were able to privately fundraise, and they're currently have a final version of a CR, which is with the state being reviewed, and and they've basically been successful in conserving the land. So
Yeah,
I don't know if we want to say that or not.
We could do that. I had considered that when I drafted it, and I did leave it off only because on the record they came before you in January of 25 to report that.
I know, and that's why I
but-
was struggling with this comment.
Yeah, no, but we certainly, the concept was foreshadowed to us, even if it wasn't in a public forum. Amy has her hand raised. If you'd like me to, I don't know if she has a comment on this.
I mean, the issue is it's not final, so I don't know, if it could fall through, but at a minimum, just update it to say. Well, let's hear what Amy has to say.
Sure. Sorry, Amy, I just muted you by accident.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's my fault.
I believe that they have a press release. You could check with Rob Warren or DA and about what they are willing to promote publicly about it. And I will also warn you that I put it in the open space section of the town report. So.
She stole the thunder.
Well, people have to really get down into the weeds if they want to find out about hail. But anyway, I did because I had so much in there before about hail and how we were coming to town meeting. I thought I should update people where it was. So I think, I said less than what they told you at their meeting, but anyway, I believe that I have seen a press release / public-ish document floating around. I could probably dig it out somewhere, but I think it's faster if you try and ask Rob or DA.
That's a great idea. We could just steal from them.
Yeah, and I will say,
they probably have a pretty picture too.
They do. I just pulled up their CR website, and they had stated that they met their 2024 fundraising goal, are in the process of filing for one of, for the CR. So we could try, I could certainly steal that language and add that to the end.
Excellent. Right. Yep. Okay. So that was my one comment. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
I've got a few nits, Mike. Under special projects, you say in the second line, establish a municipal aggregation program. Is it a municipal electric aggregation program or electricity?
Yep.
And then do we want to add online permitting?
So this is where I started getting myself into a lot of trouble, because I'm like, should it be done? Should it be approved?
Well, this is additional areas of focus. So this is future looking.
So these were our goals, right? But Dave, thank you. So I added, I'll clarify the electricity, what we're aggregating. And then the permitting is actually mentioned under the technology goal. Online permits, the first bullet.
So I just have them just in the wrong. What for me it was in. Never mind. That's fine as long as it's mentioned.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely.
Okay. Down in other activities, regionalization of the protective services dispatch operation. First bullet.
Yep. Just writing it. Sorry. Got it.
And then under grants, this is such wonderful news in the aggregate. Would it make sense to say the town received over $800,000 in the following state and federal grants?
Yep.
You can double check my math there, but it should be well over 800. And that's a lot of money, and
Right.
the citizens deserve to know all of your hard work.
Right.
Absolutely. We can, I certainly can double check your math. I trust you though, but we can add that.
Right. That was one of my comments. Would it be impactful to give the total?
Yeah.
And then finally, under litigation, I don't know if it was actually filed, but is there another one from another neighbor?
Not so. So this is litigation filed in 2024, and no.
Oh, so it's 25. Okay.
Yeah. If anything is filed more currently, it would be in 25. Yes, but this was 2024, right?
So, you know the neighbor I'm talking about.
I don't.
Doverado.
So that is
That's
so
in there.
Vincent O'Brien, trustee, is that case.
Right. Yeah, this is it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. So it is. It was in 20. It was the end of 24, but that's where it's captured. That's the official.
Delta Realty Trust is what threw me. I'm like, what
Yes.
is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just
All right.
that is what is official. However, right.
All right. All right. Great. Well, then again, thank you for writing this. Those are my suggested edits.
Yep. Excellent.
Great. And yeah, thank you for your review, and apologies to our town report committee because this is a little late. So thank you for tweaking it in about to approve it.
All right, so we'll move to item 1.5 on
So
the agenda.
You got to vote on
I'll just
it.
have you make a
Oh.
motion to approve as amended.
Oh my God, I am so fast. All right. So sorry about that. I move to approve the 2024 Board of Selectmen Annual Town Report as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland.
Yeah, I just assumed all our comments meant it was approved. So. Boy, I'm out of practice. All right, so now we're moving along to 1.5, and that's the annual town meeting review of warrant articles. And I see that both our moderator and assistant moderator are attendees, so I don't know if they want to be part of this conversation or not.
We can move them in.
Why don't we move them over and see?
And Mike, I love it. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Jim and Kate, for joining us. So this is our first selectmen's meeting since the warrant officially closed. So in your packet is the current list of draft warrant articles. I just will note that some of them are really our placeholders, a couple that have not been officially withdrawn, but we anticipate they will be withdrawn. We can just quickly, I won't go through all of them, but you'll see the ones with the asterisk are kind of the annual ones. So I don't think those need too much of an explanation. As you get down to 15, you'll see a number involving revolving funds. So just to clarify, the cemetery is seeking 2 new revolving funds. One is regarding weekend and holiday burials. So right now, the overtime, people pay a fee, but then the budget actually pays for the overtime for that. This would allow the fee to go into a revolving fund and then come back out to pay the overtime. So there's no direct impact on the budget. Just comes in and goes out to pay those extra costs if somebody wishes to have those burials. The other is the cemetery is looking at a columbarium. And so this would be a fund to support that as people purchased, I don't know what the drawers are called, but that's probably not the right word. But the funding could go back into the upkeep of that. The Board of Health is right now has a number of separate revolving funds they no longer use now that they have a full-time health director. So I don't have the list in front of me, but it's one for perk tests, one for wells. They're looking to consolidate those. So we actually believe that we may need an independent warrant article to form just one more general revolving fund for them as opposed to all those independent. So that's why they're listed the first time. The second time, they're bringing on a new public health nurse next month. And as part of that, the nurse is going to be offering different services, including vaccinations. And we have the ability to bill insurance for those vaccinations. So this revolving fund would allow the money that's billed to go into the fund, then to go back out to purchase additional supplies that you need and things like that for the vaccinations. The building fund is also a combining warrant article. They already have separate funds, one for electrical, one for plumbing, one for something else. I'm escaping me right now. But it creates this kind of accounting nightmare. So the thought was to combine them into one revolving fund to make it a little easier. And then there's a new revolving fund for the stormwater tree mitigation. We're working on scheduling a date for those regulations for the board to adopt. However, there's a mitigation piece when people are in violation. They contribute funds to mitigate the damages they've done, and we need a mechanism to pull it back out to then do the work. So that's the purpose of that revolving fund. So a combination of new and trying to revise existing revolving funds. That's why there's so many. It's unusual to see this many, outside of the normal annual authorization.
So we can kind of lump those into a revolving fund category, I guess.
Yeah, so they may, so some of them, we're still researching and working with town council whether or not, in order to combine them, if we need to have a whole separate article. So this might be able to be whittled down a little bit, but again, because the warrant closed, we want to at least have placeholders on there. So the intention of each of these will stay the same, but there might be a way to condense them or tweak them somehow so they're not so many. You'll see a one-time appropriation.
Mike, excuse me for interrupting, but I think Jim put his hand up.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, Mike, a quick question. How much money are we going to be looking at for each of these funds? Are we talking, $10,000 or hundreds of thousands of dollars or?
Yeah, so I don't have the figures in front of me, and I apologize for that. But yeah, it's in the I would say 10,000. It's not in the hundreds.
They're not huge.
Yeah,
they're not looking to increase the amount, are they? They're just looking to combine them.
And in some cases with the Board of Health, the total would actually be decreased. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I was asking, I was just trying to noodle through if Nina says it's okay to use a consent motion, how we could, combine them and not have people's feathers ruffled about an attempt to put something over on somebody. Usually if there's a large amount of money, we would normally keep those separate just so people can have their moment in the sun, so to speak. But if we're not talking serious money, then and Nina says it's okay, it'd be great if we could combine them all.
I agree. Yep, we can certainly talk to Nina about that. And again, once we get to dollar amounts, if you're comfortable with that, we can try to do that. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. So appropriation for one-time projects. The past few years, the town has decided to go this route with this kind of one-off projects. We did this with the water study, the housing study, and so the fire department's looking to do an operational assessment. And so I believe that's a $40,000 ask under that one-time fund. You'll see a number of potential planning board articles. The one that I believe, even though it's not formally, but I believe will come off is the tree preservation bylaw. I believe they're going to save that for a future year. But the others, I believe, are still on the books, and they intend to include those. Under general articles, we've talked here before about the Prudent Investor Act to adopt Mass General Law to give the treasurer greater flexibility in the funds that the town can use to invest in. We have two from the Board of Assessors. They're related to Veterans Acts in relief from property taxes. And I don't have the specifics of that in front of me, but we do have a memo, and I can certainly provide that to you. But the Board of Assessors have asked to include those, and it's an acceptance of state law that we can then do or handle at the local level. Board of Fire Engineers, and again, I don't want to misspeak. Kate's on the call with two hats, but I believe this may also be pulled, but there was a placeholder to hold to accept a Mass General Law to make a strong fire chief. It's an option under the law where in the budget, the Board of Engineers is looking to move to a full-time chief. And our master law, you can bring your chief what's called strong, which means they appoint the officers and the staff directly as opposed to the Board of Fire Engineers. But there's some questions about that and the role of the Board of Fire Engineers. So I think that'll be pulled.
And
And
that
then
may
we
be
have
appropriate to happen after the assessment, right?
It probably would be.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have 3 citizens petitions that came in and were found to have the appropriate signatures. One is to amend the schedule of use tables. It's a zoning amendment that, and I apologize if I misspeak, but I would believe it would not require a site plan review for accessory use structures in residential zones. There is a petition to accept Wilson's Way as a public way. And then there is a petition for the design of a sidewalk on Cross Street. So those are the 3 citizen petitions. They've all been given the guidelines that were developed last year, so they understand what the expectations and requirements are. And I've certainly offered and will continue to offer to speak with them and help them through the process should they have questions. In fact, the Wilson's Way petitioner did reach out, and I owe a phone call to her so that we can work through that and make sure she understands the process. So right now, we're looking at 37 articles. As I said, I'm going to suggest we'll drop probably pretty immediately to 35. And then if we can work through trying to consolidate some of the new and combined revolving funds, we might be able to drop a couple more. So hopefully the warrant isn't too overwhelming.
Mike, has Nina weighed in on number 33, the remove of site plan reviews?
Not yet, nope. So she will. We send her all of these warrant articles, but she has not weighed in yet. Or I shouldn't say that. I apologize. She did weigh in on it is the policy in Dover that our town council gives a courtesy review of the language that's being proposed in the citizens petition, only to ensure that it accomplishes what the petitioner intends. So she did that on all 3 of these, and all 3 of the language does do and will legally accomplish what the petitioner's intent is. No comment on whether it should or shouldn't, but just that it would accomplish that goal.
Yeah, I was just curious on whether it's even legal to remove site plan reviews per Mass general law. I don't know.
So in this case, I do believe it is. So this is our tables of use, which is voted by the town, which gives the town sets what's a site plan, when the site plan is required and not for certain things. So I do believe that is allowed if the town wished to do that.
And Michael, I take it that the planning board has not passed on these yet, the citizens petition with respect to the use?
No, I know they're aware of it, but they've not made any recommendations.
Okay. Yeah. I was just trying to figure out how much time we might end up spending on that. Okay.
So that's all I had, unless there's any specific questions. We'll continue to update this as either the article titles get tweaked, because even the titles are just in draft format, should things actually get pulled or combined.
I like Jim's idea of trying to consolidate all of the revolving funds into one.
Yes.
I'm just going, if we have 35 votes, it's going to be very difficult to achieve in one night.
Yes. And to Jim, to your earlier point, just as a reminder, with these revolving funds, it's not actually allocating funds. It's just authorizing those amounts to be allowed, right? So oftentimes that's a little more palatable to combine as opposed to, if these are actual budgetary dollars being assigned. So that might be helpful in terms of combining them or making them part of consent.
Okay, good. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, we'll see. I'm glad Kate and Dave and Robin and you, Michael, will all be up on the stage with us.
Well, it's always, I think every year we've started out with many more than what we end up with. So it's a process.
That's right. That's right.
So
And,
we'll go through
especially
the
because
process.
we do have a hard close on the warrant. So, there are, if you might have something, you want to stick it on. So some of this, as I said, may dwindle down.
Right. So we'll just keep going through it
That's
and
right.
keep you informed as it solidifies.
Right.
So that's the other thing. Do we want to resurrect that smaller working group committee at some point, just to help with the numbering of the warrants and to work with trying to keep town meeting as efficient as possible? Or should we just wait and see how this plays out?
Well, we definitely should have a conversation about the ordering of the warrants, but until we know how many we have,
Right.
that's premature. I don't know if Jim or Kate have any
And
other.
Jim raised his hand, so.
Yeah, I was going to suggest the same thing, Dave. And I think once we have a firmer grasp of exactly what we're facing, then it might be at that point it would be worthwhile to convene the committee. I always thought it was helpful in the
Okay.
past, particularly in terms of identifying where the time sinks might be.
Right.
That's very helpful. Kate, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I'm wondering if we shouldn't convene after open hearing, because I found last year you really kind of get a sense of the presentation, the depths of what's going to be communicated by the sponsors. And if there are any people who want to kind of oppose it, things like that. I think that's a good sense we kind of get how it's going to play out.
I think that's a
Good
great
idea.
idea. Yeah, good point.
All right. So, but until then, the doors or the lines to communication are open, and we'll keep you updated on what Nina says, whether or not we can consolidate those revolving funds, and if there are any more warrant articles that we learn that are going to be withdrawn.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thanks. Bye.
And no vote is needed on that one. So we
No.
can move to item 1.6, which is just a discussion and potential vote on the revised state of drought, level 3 critical drought to level 1 mild drought. I was waiting for this.
So, for the public's benefit, it feels a little awkward to talk about a drought in the middle of or end of January. That's certainly not typical, but we are, as of today, still in statewide a level 1 mild drought. The board roll call last year, you took 2 votes. The first at the end of October, when we first entered a level 1 mild drought. At that time, drought conditions worsened, and then towards the end of November, you took another vote as the level was elevated to a level 3 critical drought. And in compliance with our water restriction bylaws, you eliminated all non-essential outdoor water use, including irrigation. So up until this moment, or when your potential vote, that level 3 drought in Dover under our bylaws is still in effect. So I thought it was appropriate to come back to you because in January, DEP moved the South region, which includes Dover, to a level 1 mild drought, which does not require no outdoor water use, but limits it to 1 day per week before 9 and after 5. Again, right now, obviously, people aren't doing irrigation and things of that nature. But because of our bylaw, it is important to consider these things, and particularly if you wish to follow state law, because if, for example, this were to stay in effect through the spring, when people do start watering and do start, turning on their irrigation systems, it's important for this to be in place so that we can enforce these restrictions. So my recommendation for you tonight is to follow the DEP drought guidance and to declare or reduce our drought from a level 3 to a level 1, noting that the task force is going to be meeting again in early February to reevaluate. So at that time, something could change. So we could be back to you again next month, if whether the drought stays, goes, gets worse, whatever they decide.
So I think it definitely makes sense to follow the state guidance because that's what we wanted to do in the bylaw. I think we should just kind of make a note to ourselves that we should monitor the situation and just remind people when the watering season begins. So maybe it's April, at our April meeting or through the newsletter that, we're still in a level 1. If we are, we're still in a level 1 drought and what that means to them as they begin to water their spring plants.
So on a practical level, one, I agree with you, Robin, we should bring it down to a level 1 officially. But we could probably take down the signs.
Yeah, was my next question. It probably makes sense to take down the signs.
And not put up the level 1s until the spring.
Right.
Because now we're not in that super critical. And as Mike pointed out, if anyone's watering their lawn right now, I want to come see it. It just makes sense to take them down. And then because those signs are reminders. So if they're up all the time, we're just going to become numb to them.
No, I have the exact same comment. I absolutely agree with that. All right, so I'm going to move to declare that the town of Dover is in level 1, mild drought, and limit all non-essential water use as defined by the Mass DEP to 1 day per week before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m. And please contact Dave Havland when you're watering. He would like to go see it. Okay, you can strike that from the motion.
Yeah, right. Second as amended.
All in favor? Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland. And so if you could just ask Kevin to take the signs down and hold them for a while.
Yep, absolutely.
That was actually when I had office hours. That was one of the requests.
Yeah, well, I know somebody at one point said that the electronic sign was no longer appropriate given we were in the winter months. So he said, don't you have anything else you want to broadcast?
Actually, Chris, that's your opportunity. Ask Kevin to say, sign up for the newsletter, go here.
That's right.
Well, it's still transfer station stickers. All right, so we're going to move to 1.7 because we're behind. So update on fiscal year 25 goals and priorities.
So I just had just a few updates as we try to continue to move them all forward, but specifically our municipal electrical aggregation RFP is live and out. We've gotten some inquiries. I don't know the closing date. If Chris, do you off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's February 13th.
February 13th.
The day before Valentine's Day.
There you go. So that's really exciting to start that process, to have a consultant on board, and they really facilitate this process for us on our behalf. So that's I think that's some real exciting movement. As Dave always says, this is a real tangible thing for people when it's implemented. So we're really excited. Two other tangible things. One, particularly to employees, Chris has been working on upgrading our phones, one of our technology goals, and we are preparing to do a switchover on January 28th. We do not anticipate any downtime, but we just want to share that date. So if you do get a busy signal because something did go wrong, we're not ignoring your calls. We're hopeful everything will go smooth. We've been assured, we've worked with our vendors. Chris has done a really great job So we don't anticipate any problems, but I just did want to mention that is the date that we're going to make the switch over to the new system. So, and also another tangible thing for staff and the public is we continue to move forward on our permitting software in two phases. One, we're currently having our staff, our hands-on staff, inspectors and department heads who use the software have gone through a number of demos of, was it 4 or 5?
5 total.
5, yeah, 5 total that are used in area towns within the state. They've gotten good reviews. We're working to whittle that down, and then we would like to also try to bring in the chairs of the appropriate land use committees so they also can see the work that we've done in the product that we believe will best serve Dover and make sure it meets everybody's needs with buy-in. As we go through that process, we're also getting close to submitting the grant, which is due in February. So as you know, that is currently sitting, the cost for this, both implementation and the fee is in our operating budget, and we hope to pull that out. And I believe we'll know sometime in March if we're awarded that grant. And so we're very hopeful for that. And then I don't want to steal your thunder, Robin, but you mentioned earlier your office hours, which is another goal. So I don't know if you want to just highlight that here, or if you want to wait and do it under.
I have slots available.
But so just so in case someone's watching, it's just to say it again, Robin mentioned earlier, it's this coming Monday, the 27th, from 4 to 6 in the Selectmen's meeting room. And you could reach out to our office if you'd like to make an appointment so that we can hold a slot for you, because they may fill very fast. It did go out this week in the on Facebook as well as in the Council on Aging newsletter. So we're hoping that might pick up some traction for you, so you won't feel too long.
Right. Well, my book club friends didn't sign up, so. And David, doesn't count if you sign up. All right, so we will move on to item 1.8 of the agenda, and it's just quick updates from the Board of Selectmen. So Mike, I'm so confused with meetings and when did we report on the budget presentation to Warren?
No, we have not. This is our first meeting since then.
Okay, so I thought Mike and Carl put together an excellent first pass of the budget, and they made a presentation to the Warren Committee. I think it was really well received. The Warren Committee understands that it's the high watermark. What it really did highlight was the large amount of capital that's being requested. So it gives the Warren Committee perspective as they review in more detail the budgets with each of the departments and the asks. So once we get a few of the placeholders refined and also have a better handle on the revenue side of things, since the governor just passed the state budget or presented the state budget, we will then, I think, at one of our meetings also provide an overview of where we stand with respect to the current fiscal year budget. So that was an excellent presentation. Last evening, the Dover schools came to the Warren Committee, and again, they made a really good presentation. There was discussion and a recommendation from the school committee on how to treat the out of district budget for this year. So I think what we'll do is statutorily, the school committee can make this decision on their own, but we have, as I called it yesterday evening, a handshake deal with them that the town of Dover always fully funds the budget, and then they return the circuit breaker to us, and there's a lot of transparency in what occurs there. Their recommendation, again, is in line with the transparency. So what I think we should do is have a meeting with Warrant, listen to their recommendation, whether they agree with the school's recommendation, and then we can also opine, Dave, and at that point, the school committee asks that we get back to them in time for their March meeting. So maybe in one of our February meetings, we could just discuss this recommendation that the school committee is making.
Yes, we just need to do it in open session so that
Right, right. And I think it would be great to put it on the agenda and then ask the warrant committee to also discuss it so we can give them the heads up. But the
Terrific.
school committee meetings, I think, is usually like the first or second Tuesday in March. So they just asked if we could have a discussion and let them know what we think.
Well, we have a meeting on the 6th and the 27th, correct? Of February?
I think that sounds right. Yep.
Right, so maybe let's put it on the agenda for the 27th, and then that gives us all time to familiarize ourselves. And I saw that Cam was on here, so he can,
Yes.
if I forget, he can report back to
Warrant.
the warrant committee. And again, capital budgets is going back through their diligence process as well, given the large number of capital items. So we will continue to work with departments, continue to do our diligence, continue to address questions in an efficient manner for departments to answer. And that's all I have.
Well, that makes my job a lot easier because I've been shadowing all these meetings. There hasn't been a planning board meeting since we last met. So,
but there is one on the 27th.
Of January. Okay, so yes, got it. So I'm learning, and it's great to be able to just listen and not participate. But soon enough, that will occur as well. But no, so I have nothing to add because I've been to the same meetings you have.
Right. And we haven't put you in the basement like Josh.
There's still time, Robin. I'm keeping my mouth shut.
I was thinking about that. All right, so then Mike, we'll turn it over to you for the town administrator updates.
Yeah, so I just had three quick things. One, I'm not going to repeat, but I was just going to talk about the warrant committee meeting. So the next two significant for us warrant committee meetings will be on February 26th and March 5th, which is when the department budget presentations and discussion will take place. So in between then and now, we are working, and I'm hoping I'll pull together a first meeting maybe as soon as, or get it scheduled as soon as tomorrow on a small sub-working group to work between now and then to iron out some of the details we've been discussing. So I think that would be great. I just wanted to mention, I foreshadowed this at the last meeting, but I did take a trip up to Minuteman last week and had a delicious breakfast cooked by the students and got a quick look at the building. Just absolutely beautiful, and the programs that go on there were just very impressive. And it was just really, really great to get up there and understand what they do, and where some of our students go. And I hope and I know that the school committee is working hard to continue to advertise all they offer, because it's just absolutely amazing. And the superintendent, talked about still overcoming some of the misunderstanding about going to a technical school, and she used herself as an example. She's a technical school graduate. She's a superintendent at school. She's a college professor. These are all things you can do, even though you're not going to our local or regional high school. So very, very impressive.
It's just a different style of learning. that they.
That's right. That's right. And
Right.
just many different opportunities, things you're exposed to, just life skills.
Right.
I think of how much more just handy I could be had I had some of those experiences. I'm pretty jealous. So, and then lastly, I know the board's aware, but I just wanted to share with the public that Chief Joe Vinci of our police department is awarding commendations for life-saving efforts as a result of a very severe emergency medical situation that occurred at or outside our police station in November. Specifically, Sergeant Ryan Manise, Officer Ryan Sullivan, and Officer Donnie Cahill will be receiving medals next week. And so we'll have a ceremony here. I know the board's invited. We've told staff as well. And I just think that's a really great opportunity to recognize some pretty amazing work. So I just wanted to mention that publicly and thank them and congratulate them.
Thank you. And now we'll move to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of the following. We're going to approve 2025 special one-day liquor licenses for February 12th, 13th, and 14th, and approve the December 11th, 2023 Board of Selectmen open session meeting minutes. So I'm going to move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I would like to offer one amendment on line 73 of the minutes.
Okay.
I think it should be received his diploma.
Okay. So instead of described, received.
You tell me. I was
No.
not there, but it described a diploma, didn't read right to me.
So I think I can see, I think received fits there and probably reflects it better. Yeah.
It's amazing how you just correct things in your brain and move on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But that was my only edit, so I'll second as amended.
Okay. All in favor? Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland.
All right. So that is going to conclude the open session part of our meeting, and we will be going into executive session, not to return to open session. And I will make that motion. So I move that the board enter into executive session, not to return to open session, to prepare for strategy session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel. Further, as chair, I declare that an open meeting discussion may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the town. And I will now take a roll call vote. Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland.
All right.
And now before we actually close out, I'm still getting used to this webinar format. I just realized we failed to send you a link to a private Zoom. So I'm going to beg Chris to very quickly create a regular meeting, not a webinar. So if everybody could just take a 2-minute bathroom break, check your email, and we'll join up in about I'll call it 3 minutes.
Hey, that sounds great because my watch keeps telling me I have to stand.
I just was trying to anticipate that and give you a break.
Thanks. All right. So we'll see you in 2 minutes.
You'll send the link, Chris, just to our email. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
So now Zoom can update.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Thanks.
Mike, I had the same realization.
Yeah.
One second.
All right.
All right.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Guys.